Alright, what's up everybody? So in this video I'm going to talk a bit about the gymnast Simone Biles. As I make this video, it is July 27th, 2021, and Simone Biles has withdrawn from several events. I don't know if she's going to still do any events at the Olympics, but of course she is catching major flack really from all sides about the whole thing. She first withdrew from the team competition, and citing mental health reasons, and so that is kind of where we are at with that. And this is something I talk about a lot because a year ago I wrote about this, that not just her, but I used her as an example, but all of our athletes, they're on a very specific window, a very specific cycle, a 4-year cycle for training. So the whole idea is to peak at the right time during the Olympics. They train up to the Olympics. At the Olympics, they are at their very, very best. And whoever can kind of do this the best might end up getting with the medal. And that's where sometimes you might have a swimmer or a gymnast or track and field athlete that maybe didn't win all these races 2 years ago, but at the Olympics they peak at the right time, they have their best event, their best race, their best whatever, and they're able to walk away with the gold. That's what the game's all about, and that's how legends are in fact made. Now with gymnastics, I remember a time when gymnasts just didn't compete for multiple years. They had a very, very narrow window. They were pretty young, and they just didn't do it. They would, if they won the gold medal, they would, go home and kind of do maybe a media tour, and that was it. And they would pretty much retire from the sport. I remember, Mary Lou Retton, of course, when she was America's sweetheart, and a lot of gymnasts afterwards, and some that didn't live up to their expectations. I remember an athlete named Kim Zmeskal, for example, that was kind of poised as being the next Mary Lou Retton, and she never quite lived up to that. I believe that's the Olympics that Shannon Miller and a few others kind of rose up, and it began the dominance of Team USA in the early 90s. And the thing is after a while, I think we get to the point where we really start expecting our team to win every time, and if they don't win the gold medal, then it kind of seems like a disappointment, and that kind of bothers me some. And I really want to look mostly at just like what these people do in their sport, not their personal lives, and and this is something we didn't have back then, but now, in the age of social media and TMZ, where you can basically follow these people around 24/7. They're not only expected to be athletes and perform once every 4 years and at world championships in between, but there is pressure on these people all the time to be like media stars, and now especially for the black athletes to be activists, which I don't know if a lot of you have ever considered this, but first of all, my opinion, and I know this is going to upset a lot of people, but if you're only watching her just because she's black, that's a little messed up. I mean, you should be watching her because she's a great gymnast, and that shouldn't really have a whole lot of bearing on it. I mean, honestly, that should be really kind of beside the point, and that's my opinion. I know a lot of people will get upset about that, and they want to make it about that. Well, you know what? I mean, I think a lot of that, like, she has to be an activist and has to be the voice for people. Like, that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. And I've heard from other athletes that the pressure to be the voice for their people, like, it does get to them. They can't just do their jobs. They have to also, do all these other things, and that's. I think you guys need to back off. I think, when I'm reading like Twitter, social media, stuff like that, I see a lot from both sides, and I think there's, the side, we'll call it the side on the left, just for, I don't like politics, and I don't like, when I say I don't like politics, I mean I don't like the two-party system. I don't like partisan politics. So I don't like either way, but the people on the left are kind of like, oh, it's all you people that are, saying all these mean, horrible things, which there are people saying mean, horrible things. But I think it's both sides. I think putting all this undue pressure on her, it's kind of gross. I mean, just let her be a young woman and an athlete, and let her try to perform. Stop putting so much pressure on her to say the right things and to do the right things and to be the voice for for the oppressed. You know, this it gets a little old in my opinion, and of course I'm a white guy saying that, so you know, a lot of people, you know, you might say, well, of course you would say that, but man, you know, it really isn't that necessary, quite frankly. And what would be great is if she could just go to the Olympics, be an Olympic athlete. You know, there is a place for that too, to winning hearts and minds, and I think people have kind of, you know, let that go, and you know, you want them to be a lot more than just an athlete doing their job, quite frankly. And I think that has probably led to a lot of pressure. There's not, because of the situation during COVID, the media is they're kind of locked into what they can report and stuff. What I'm hearing is that it's not like the old Olympics where they could just go travel the country and find all these stories. They're limited. They're a little bit boxed in, so they really have to hone in on these stories like Simone. And to be honest, I'm not really aware of what she has done activism-wise, because I don't pay attention to that. I pay attention to what she does on the gym mat, I suppose, really once every 4 years. She's amazing. In 2016, she was doing things physically that were just biomechanically impressive. You know, I'm a sports physiologist, so the torque forces that she was able to attain during some of those rotations, the rotational speed that she achieved is almost beyond, you know, what you would think would be human ability. I mean, really amazing stuff. You know, they're probably, and that's what I was talking about, you know, in my post a year ago, that, you know, and I was talking about the closing of this window. Not just her, but a lot of athletes that would have been successful last year are not going to be successful this year because that window is closed. In gymnastics, you know, it's a younger person's sport. You know, you're 24 years old. You're almost kind of getting aged out as it is. And I just think, you know, just be proud of what she's accomplished. She's accomplished a whole lot. I mean, she's amazing as it is. Stop putting all this undue pressure on her to be what you want her to be, or to be the GOAT and all that. She's already achieved a legendary career. I mean, let it go, people, for real. Now, you know, the other side of this is that people focus so much on her that they don't give anybody else any credit. I mean, those other girls on the U.S. team, they were able to still get the silver medal in spite of all this, in spite of the distraction, having their, you know, their most prominent, maybe their best teammate, you know, that would have been something that could have rattled the team. It didn't. They were still able to win the silver medal. And that is a great accomplishment. That is a great accomplishment. To get the silver medal in anything in the Olympics is great. And we should take our hats off to Team USA Gymnastics for winning that silver medal. And at the same time, you really shouldn't be taking away credit from Team Russia, who did win the gold medal. They won the gold medal, and you know, you can't take anything away from them. I'm sure they worked very hard to do that, and that they're very good athletes, and that they did that. You know, I think I mentioned that somewhere, and people are bringing up that they were supposed to be banned and this and that. You know, I don't know about all that. That's really, I just watched the Olympics. When I say I don't know, I mean I heard about that, but I think some people you really go too deep into it. Like you think because you know all this stuff that makes you more informed, and sometimes you miss the big picture by looking at it so microscopically. You know, you're not able to look back and just appreciate the Olympic Games for what it is. It's supposed to be athletes. We're supposed to be united, and we're supposed to be inspired by their wonderful athletic performances. And I think people really should just focus on that. I don't know why Simone, you know, Biles, you know, withdrew from a lot of these competitions, but that it doesn't really matter at the end. You know, there's other athletes, and they're going to do it, and this has been the law of sports from the beginning. The young, new athletes will always come in and replace those old athletes. That's the way it goes. I was a little bit skeptical that Simone Biles would do great, you know, a year ago, you know, simply because of this whole problem with timing. It's a big issue, and the older you get in gymnastics, the more important that is going to be, and everyone should really salute this young woman and the things that she's done. And please, 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 no matter who you are, liberal media, right-wing conspiracy loons, lay off these people, man. Just appreciate them for what they are, and stop putting all your political ideas and thoughts on them and trying to make them be what you want them to be and to say the things you want them to say. You know, in the words of Sha'Carri Richardson, she's just a human being. You know, she's just a little faster than everybody else. That's what that woman said, and I like that saying, you know. And she's just a, you know, same with Simone. She's just a person. She's just a little bit better at, a whole lot better than me anyway. But she's, you know, she's really good at gymnastics, and that's what we appreciate about her. She's, you know, and I think, you know, people just, man, people look way, way too deep into this stuff nowadays, and you just appreciate. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, you know, she comes back and competes well. But if she doesn't, you know, I mean, give whoever wins credit. You know, pay attention to the people that are actually there winning. We have a young woman that's going to replace her. I believe her name's Jade, if I'm not you know, mistaken. And we should give her the same energy and support that we would give Simone Biles. We really should. If you really practice what you preach and you don't care about, you know, a person's background necessarily, or then support this girl too, just like you would Simone. She's part of our team, and we want her to win just as well. So that's kind of what I really have to say about that. Anyway, let me know what you think, you know, and we'll see you guys on the next one.